All right, we are back. Diane, I heard that high blood levels when you're pregnant increase your chances of miscarriage.
Yes.
Is that true?
It is, and so much more. I'll tell you what right now. That is true, okay? And lead is something that will hurt a pregnant mother, not only for miscarriage, but think about the baby. So pregnancy, we got to think about two people here. So let's always be thinking about two people. And so it does cross. Have you ever heard of this, Robin? When people take meds, it might cross the placental.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is one of those things that lead definitely crosses over the placental membrane. What does that mean to our viewers out here? It means that anything the mother is exposed to or ingests in also can go right to the baby if it can cross this placental boundary, per se. And so we got to think about that, because not only could it cause miscarriage, right, but it can affect, for the baby, it can damage the brain, the kidney, and we know the nerves, because and those we see the kids that come out and have those neurological things or other parts of the body, but the main parts are the kidney, the brains, and the nerves. Okay, so we need to make sure that and I hope what we can do here today is that we make sure that mothers know that let's ask some questions of our provider. Now, we hope that everybody that is pregnant will get to the doctor right away. So what my idea right away is
as soon as you find out you're pregnant.
As soon as you find out. Okay. Yeah. So we hope that's going to be in the first trimester, which is the first 3 months, that the woman finds that she's pregnant. Okay. Mm-hmm. And because there's a reason for that. Okay. Remember, that's like a high developmental time of things happening. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So it's important all the way through pregnancy, but in those first 3 months, it's really super important. So we are hoping to get the word out here today to let mothers know out there that it's okay for them to ask their provider, right? So get to the doctor. We've already said get to the doctor if you think you're pregnant, right away. And we hope that is definitely well before 3 months, that they've been carrying this baby, okay? So once they get there, it is really important for them to say, like, hey, do you think I should be tested for lead? Okay.
Yes.
Like, and say, I live in one of these old houses. Could I be somebody that could possibly have lead? And I think that that's super, super important. Okay. So if you think you've lived in an older home, or that here's another thing too. This is the thing I don't want people to miss. What if you lived in a lead house and you didn't know it, like years ago as a kid? Mm-hmm. We talked in the last podcast, right, that lead can actually hang out in your bones, right?
Yeah, it sure
can.
And
so you have a stress, right? And then the stress in this case could be pregnancy.
Absolutely.
Right? Is stress a pregnancy?
I was going to say,
yes,
pregnancy can be very stressful.
Yes, right. Yeah. Okay. So, you have that kind of situation come on. So those are the things like we want the mothers just feel free to say, and the doctors will be so happy to hear this. They really will, because there's a lot going on. Like, hey, they don't know what you're living. They see you in the office. They don't know what kind of house you live in.
Right.
You need to make sure you provide those details to them. Okay. So the other thing too is your water. If you're not on public water, you should be having a water test. I want pregnant moms. I really want all moms.
Right.
But I really want pregnant moms to have I have private, water source. Okay?
Right. So do I.
So we test our water to make sure that it is clean to drink and it stays clean to drink.
Right.
Okay. So that kind of thing. So important for that.
So how can the county help?
Well, I'll tell you what, they can actually. So if they can come out to your house and they can actually, if you're thinking about it and you haven't got that doctor's, for whatever reason, appointment yet, you can call the county and say, I'm wondering if there's lead in my house. Okay. They will get you right to Sam Filbert or the lead team, and they'll say, okay, let's talk about, where you're at. They'll ask you maybe some questions about how old your house is and that kind of thing. And, they'll come out to the house and they will take a little meter and they will actually test your house. So that's what you can do while you're waiting maybe for this, doctor's appointment. But when you get to the doctor, you need to know that there's different things that make you, a risk. So think about, we've already said old houses. Mm-hmm. Don't forget we said the people who actually might have been in an older house, like as a kid. Now they're an older person ready, to have a baby and everything, they didn't maybe have any effects yet, because remember we talked about lead hides in the bones, right?
It does.
And so we've moved forward. Okay, how about outside? Maybe they've moved to a place where somebody did auto repair before they came, and maybe there's some batteries there. It could get in the soil. Sometimes lead gets, it definitely gets in the soil, right? So maybe it's a high enough contact where there, this is a person who likes to go out and garden and do landscaping and things like that. It can be out in the soil.
Well, and I remember one of our episodes, you talking about the fact that, I mean, if anybody's like me, I like to go yard sailing, right?
Oh, yard
And I
sale,
like to find old pottery, and I love like old Pyrex and different things.
Yep.
And when I find that stuff, it reminds you of like sometimes your grandma, or, you know what I mean? It has good
for
feelings,
sure.
but you're not thinking about the fact that the paint that's on it really could be harmful.
Right.
And I remember you telling me that, and it stuck in my head because I'm like, I know so many people that like to do that.
Yeah, we used to have a place called Glidden's Gallery, and they, that was well before that lead that was on there. That paint that was on there was definitely before the time when we didn't sell lead paint anymore,
Right?
Glazes and that kind of thing. The other thing I think about, some of us order cosmetics, makeup from crazy little places on Amazon, and we don't always pay attention to where it's from.
Yes.
Sometimes that makeup actually can have lead in it. Okay.
Interesting.
So,
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so
I should be looking at more labels other than just food?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
man. Okay.
yeah. And so that's the kind of thing too. So while that's important for you and I, but that's super important for the pregnant person, because remember, we're thinking about two people right there.
Yep.
Costume jewelry, we talked about silver, even some silver plated jewelry can have forms like of lead in it. We talked about the pottery, herbs, okay? Herbs. We sometimes send away for herbs, and I say this because I've gone to a spice store down outside of Chicago, and now I'm thinking twice about things, right? Because they get things from out of, the country, which are great and everything, but certain different, like turmeric, okay? That's something that can have lead in it, right?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, no, I'm not. And don't I love that rice, that they make at the place that I go to in Corning? Yeah, it's great, but I think twice about that, okay? But if you're pregnant, you really need to be thinking about it, because you got to protect that baby, the unborn baby. Of course, lead drinking water, all right? So this is a great time. We talked about testing your water, but this is a great time to think about the fact that you can not have a lead pipe directly, all right? But it might be that little intricate connector that you used, or your HVAC or whatever person used, because they wanted to make that pipe a little longer so you could get your drinking water.
Oh, wow.
So I want to say, I've heard from folks that have said, well, I looked at the pipe. I had it verify it's not a lead pipe. It's not just the lead pipe. It's all the interworkings that go along with that. Especially in some of these, now we've added on to these older homes. Yeah. So then we have to add on to the piping, and what do we use? Well, we're not, we put all this money into the system. We're going to try to save money, right? Yep. Saving money can be, problematic as well. Yep. Certainly, the other thing too. So the county comes out. Right. Back to this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
County comes out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Talk me through what the county does.
So they come out and they say, we need to have the sleeping area here, and your nursery to be. We need that. And we need this, maybe this living room. We need the lead gone here. We need professional people to come in. So we get the professional people to come in, right? The one thing I want to say out there is the person who's pregnant cannot be there during that time. Okay, do you know why?
Tell me.
Oh, because, remember we talked about lead dust? Okay, that's
right.
the time when dust is going to be, in a normal house, dust is going to be all over. That's one thing, right? And we don't really want pregnant people to be around for that. But when it's lead dust, when we're doing the renovation because of lead, that pregnant person should not be in that house, and somebody else should come in and actually clean up the lead dust, or you pay for that to be included in your thing, because we can't have the dust, remember, gets ingested, it gets on our food, it gets on our furniture, it gets on the pillow that we lay on because we're tired and we're pregnant, we're taking a nap, and we breathe in these particles. So I just, removing lead is not a do-it-yourself project. No. And you need to have people who really, really know what they're doing.
And this includes, so I've had some families that have recently had carpet removed,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
windows replaced because of things like that.
Yep.
Please keep in mind when these things are done, you easily could have lead underneath. I know we've had that conversation in other videos,
Absolutely.
but keep that in mind, especially if you're pregnant.
Yeah, and that rug thing. So, is there any other question? So that was kind of a newsflash for you think?
Yeah.
As far as that goes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad
and
checked on that.
Haley and I encounter lots of pregnant moms, and we hope to
Exactly.
encounter lots more, here at the First Step Family Resource Center, and we want to make sure that we're providing that information. And I'm really glad you shared that with me today, because I think that'll make sure that
Super.
we...
Maybe next time we could actually give the viewers a little glimpse inside, like maybe just take them on a little tour of what it could be like to when the lead person comes out to your house, make it a little less stressful. So thanks so much for letting us, let me talk about this. It's so important.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
so
you
much,
for coming.
Robin. Great. Have a great day.